Morning guys, welcome back. I'm going to take the swinging arm out and fit the other modified dig one. Um, One of the first things that obviously that you would do would be to take the the undo the rear shocks and take them off. However, if you do that first, what will happen is the swinging arm will want to drop down, and this brace here, see this part? It will come in contact with the two bolts on the back of the rear engine mounting bracket. So you've got to really, to stop that from happening, slide a little piece of wood, MDF or something up in there, just to sort of keep that from happening, while you're taking that out, and just pop something up in there, stick a bit of, duct tape or something around it, so that whenever that, swinging arm comes down here, these bolts don't dig into the back of that. And so let's do that and get on with it. Okay, guys. And the other thing you've got to do is you've obviously got to undo the, the brake line that runs up to the master cylinder there, because it passes through this little hook here that's welded onto the inside of the the swinging arm. So you've got to undo that, and it's probably best or easiest to take it off down there at the brake caliper and just let it drain into that while you want to get the swinging arm off. Okay. I've also got a wee bracket here that encapsulates a grommet for these braided brake lines, that passes through. Normally with the stock brake line, it would be an awful lot thicker, and it just passes straight through this this metal bracket here. But I have made this one here that's in two halves, and so that'll obviously have to come off too, to allow me to fish the whole thing out. Okay, so that's that draining away. You can see that little bracket thing there, that little two-piece clamp there. That's just stripping away. There's my caliper and hanger. Other thing I want to do is I want to take these Yoshimura bobbins off, and in the on the stock swinging arm, you'll notice that where this boss here is welded on is different on one side than it is on the other. Do you notice I have a spacer there on that one, and a spacer on this one? Spacer in this one is bigger, so that this here is welded in too far inboard, and so I have a bigger spacer on this side than I have on the other side, so that whenever I put the hooks of the paddock stand in, it doesn't gall against the side of that. So just to even them up, I have a bigger spacer on one side than the other. But I'm going to take these off anyway while the swinging arm is still in place, and store those to the one side. Okay, guys. See what I mean regarding those spacers? And I've obviously a longer bolt in one than I have in the other, so that I have the same amount of threads whenever the two spacers are level with one another. If I can do that. It's not a very clear picture, but anyway, you can see that it's about the same, works out the same amount of threads going in to hold that those spools. All right. Okay, so now we can pop the rear foot peg hangers off, and then get the shocks off, and that'll just let the the whole lot drop down. Do that on both sides. All right. And also I took the pinch bolts out of that. Now these are my own machine pinch bolts here, with a dropped shoulder on them there. So those are off. And so let's just pop these rear foot peg hangers off on both sides, and then we'll just get the shocks off and just slide the swing arm pivot out and take this swinging arm out. Okay, so that's the foot peg hangers off there and all the little bolts. We'll take the shocks off next. Just a bolt at the bottom at the shock mount, and a bolt and this spool at the top. Now these again are my own machined spools. These ones on this 01 are billet aluminium, to replace the normal steel ones that are there, but I made a different set for the 05. They're titanium, but these ones are billet aluminium, which are pretty light and quite trick. So I'll take those off and then take the shocks off both sides. That swinging arm should drop down, and like I was saying at the start, if I can get out of my own light here, of that little bit of MDF there just duct taped on, so that whenever it the swinging arm drops down, it will it'll not get damaged against the back of that there, and then I can just slip the pivot out. Okay guys, all right. Okay, so that's the bolts removed from the bottom of the shock mounts. The spool's off the top. The swinging arm has dropped down, as you can see, and that means then that is resting against that I was talking about there, and I can just slide these shocks off just like that. Simple as that. On both sides. Then it's just the pivot, and that'll slide out. Okay guys, so as you can see, that's the shocks removed, sitting there carefully. Swinging arm has now dropped down to that position, and I can simply undo the pivot. You notice here I have put a few protection cloths there at the where the scissor jack is, just in case that comes down and wants to contact that. And I'll just take this pivot out and remove the swinging arm. Okay, so there it is. I'm just withdrawing the swing arm pivot, and then I'll just catch that swinging arm, just hold it there with my hand while I'm pulling that out, and that will drop down and come away. Okay guys, thank you. All right, so there you go. That's it out. Painless and easy. Not a mark on it. It came out without an issue at all. That's just my dirty hand marks on it. Nothing at all, no drama. And as I say, important thing to remember is just tape this wee piece of MDF on there. Otherwise, you've got two big dig marks right there off those bolts. All right. So, as I say, that's it. That's the chain guide that'll have to come out, and then we'll set about fitting the new one. All right, lads. Okay, so I just want to remove this chain guide here. It just lifts off like that, and you really can push this here out from the other side, but maybe just to make it a wee bit easier, I'll take this little dust seal here out like that, and then I can slide this lightweight, it's from a ZRX 6 or pivot spacer here out. This is this light one that I was talking about in the last video. This is the stock one here, which is a steel one, and it's far heavier. Well, I'll weigh it later, but it's like, you see the way that's completely steel. And that one there's aluminium in the center with like a pressed metal ferrule at either end of it. But they're exactly the same, you know, that would be the stock ZRX one. This is the lightweight one that I have in. So I'll pair that up with my my new swinging arm that I'm going to put in. All right, guys, I may as well just put this dust seal back in again. And I mean, I have a new one of these here, but that one there looks to be in perfect condition. So, well, when I say that, it's a wee bit sort of nicked there, but no, I can just put that on there, and may as well use the new one. I've got it. Okay, guys, all the best. Okay, guys, so I had mentioned in the last video that I had made a replacement swing arm pivot myself, which was to replace the stock one. This is the stock one here, and it's very, very heavy. It's solid steel. This one here is a hollow one, and I actually machined this from an old ZX 10R swing arm pivot. The stock ZRX 10R swing arm pivot has like a kind of an end on it here that has a hexagon recess there for a tool to go in to enable you to get it out. But anyway, I'd machined that, the existing head of that down, and then threaded it and added on this collar here. Like it's I'll weigh it and let you see it. It's about half the weight, or even less than half the weight of the stock one. The thing is, you need two nuts for it here, and the recesses in the side of the frame for where those nuts would be, one side is bigger than the other. You'll actually be able to see that. Here is the right hand side of the stock swing arm pivot, and you can see the diameter of that. And here is the nut, which is a lot bigger. I'll just hold the two of them side by side here. See that? You can actually see that with the naked eye. So that corresponds with the recesses in the side of the frame, which I'll just show you now. So this is the recess on the left-hand side of the ZRX frame, and you can see there it's 33.61 millimeters. Okay, so here's the recess on the right hand side of the frame, and you can see that it's a lot smaller than the other one. I'll just measure it here with these calipers if I can get them in, and compare it with what we just measured on the other side. So that's 31.72. So it's a lot smaller. So anyway, that means that I have to have two flanged pro bolt nuts, which I'm going to use. And one of them, the flange on it, has to be a bigger diameter than the other side. So let's just do that now. Okay. All right, so here's the two pro bolt nuts that I have selected here. There's the part number of that one. It's that's a 27 takes a 26 millimeter socket, and this one here takes a 27 millimeter socket. There's the part number of that one there. They're both M20 by 1.5 millimeter thread pitch, and that one there has a lot smaller flange than this one. This one here is about twice the price, actually. But still, that one there will still need to be machined. This one here can be used as just as it is, but it's a lot sort of shallower in height than this one. This one here will need to be reduced in height and all of this detail reinstated. The flange, although it's bigger, is too big, so I'll need to machine that to the size that I just measured there, and then pair them both up. I'll take them out of the packet and let you see them. All right. So there they are out of the packet. Now, as you can see, look at the height of that one compared to that one. And I need to reduce this one here so that it's the same height as that one there, and then reinstate this detail around it. I'll also have to reduce the flange and the thickness of the flange as well to be the same. I'll just let you see. Okay, so this smaller one here is for the right hand side, and you can see that it fits into the recess with a slightly wee bit of clearance, and that's just perfect for there. All right, there's a tiny wee margin around it which just suits that perfectly. Try it on the other side, do you see? All right, so this is the left hand side, and you can see it would work, but I just don't like the size of the margin around it now. It's too sloppy. And this is the candidate that I'm going to be using for it, but the flange of it's too big. So, I have to reduce that to suit that, and then machine it so that it pairs up with the other one in height-wise or as well. Okay, so we'll just compare them in height. This is the one here that will not have to have anything doing to it. And you can see it's 11.19 millimeters in height. This one here, I'll need to reduce it in height, so it's 15.12. And as I say, I need to reduce the overall diameter of the flange. Need to put that in the vise, or sorry, in the lathe to machine it. And there, I have this piece of brass here that I have threaded to an M20 by 1.5. So I can just simply, thread it on there like that, and then I can put that in the lathe and reduce the height of that there. All right, and then that'll be ready for my axle. All right, guys. Okay, so there it is. Let's hope it works out okay. Okay, so there's the two nuts now, and you can see, although one has a thicker flange than the other, They're both exactly the same height. And that's perfect. I could have reduced that flange and had the nut part exactly the same height. But the thing is that thick flange fills the recess better. So, you know, there they are. And I'll just set that into the recess now and let you have a wee look at it. Okay, so there's the recess there, and there's the modified nut, and it just goes in there perfectly with that nice little margin around it. All right. Okay, so there's the finished axle compared to the stock one. This is the modified nut here on the end, and as I say, that's the stock axle. Okay, so just let's weigh them here and make a comparison on this little digital kitchen scale here. This is the stock one here, the stock axle. If it just stays there. So you're talking 824 grams for that one. All right, let's see my machined one. 399. So that's less than half the weight. All right, and I'll just do the same then with the lightweight internal spacers as well. Okay, so here's the stock ZRX spacer, 497 grams. Let's go for the lightweight one. I think it's a ZX6R one. 211 grams. Okay, so just let's pair up the lightweight spacer and the lightweight swing arm pivot and compare it with the stock swing arm pivot and the stock swing arm pivot spacer, and you'll just see the difference here in weight. All right. Okay, let's do this. This is the stock swing arm pivot plus spacer. That just stays without it falling or rolling off. Oh, it just keeps wanting to roll off. Right, that's okay. 1,320 grams. Right, let's do this lightweight one that I have just machined. 610 grams. Brave difference, isn't it? All right, so just let's slide this here in just for a wee look to see what we think to it. There you go. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next one.